Hello, people.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of something fell over there of the unlicensed show, where it's our opinion that is unlicensed, not the things that we are discussing, because that was always the joke the whole time. This is not a new thing. That's always been the joke. I we don't need comments. It's the games were never unlicensed unless they actually were. In some instances they actually are, but we name those instances. Anyways, this time the way that we structure this garbage show is that we go back and forth with our picks. Last episode we did Daredevil 2003, which was my pick, and
Oh god.
then this time Lennon picked Fant4stic
Oh
because I
god.
needed to suffer apparently. Um, and so we watched the film separately, and we made our notes, and then this is now us coming together to discuss this crap. So, yeah, uh, it's certainly a movie that exists. That's so.
I
I
definitely sat down for an hour and a half and wasted
An
that
hour
much
and
time in
40
my life.
minutes. I was
Yeah.
looking at the time while I was watching this film.
Oh yeah.
I was looking at the
I
time.
was
I made notes based on when I was. I specifically put time codes in at certain points because,
yeah.
like, Christ.
Like I didn't put time codes, but like I know when my notes line up to
Yeah,
certain bits because of how long certain segments are, and then how like shockingly short certain segments are.
yeah.
As in, yeah. So
Mm. So I'm pretty sure this film has multiple cuts because I seem to remember hearing that there is a longer version of this film, but the version we watched was the theatrical cut, which was an hour and 40 minutes. And yeah, I didn't want to watch any more of this movie. I'll say that much. I was content with an hour and 40 minutes. I could have done with less, to be honest. I could have done with 0 minutes. I spent the last 8 years trying to avoid watching this film because I made a solemn vow that I was like, I didn't need to watch more Fantastic Four movies. I have to say, I didn't need to see more of them. Two was enough. Those films are like fucking Casablanca compared to this. Like they are like Citizen Kane when put against this fucking film. But
oh yeah.
yeah. So I suppose we'll go through some general stuff before we start touching on specifics because I mean again, we write extensive notes for this. But yeah, so some general stuff. Both of us didn't like the film, I'm assuming.
No, no. It was it was the biggest. Sorry. No, here we go. It was the longest origin story I've ever watched in my entire life. The origin story was like
It
15
lasts the whole
minutes long.
movie. It's the whole
Yeah.
movie. It's the whole
I was
film.
like, all right, when they going to fight the big bad?
It's
Oh
10
yeah,
minutes from the end of the movie.
in the last 8 minutes. Oh, cool.
it's
How are they gonna wrap this one up?
it's 10 minutes from the end of the film. Like so right, I'll get into a couple of my general notes because I wrote a couple of general notes at the end of while I was watching the credits because I did actually sit
Yeah,
through the entire credits of this film. There's no after credits scene. I found
I
that out the
decided to
hard way.
skip the credits. I had
Uh,
I
you had better things to be
uh
doing with your day. I watched this film at 1 in the morning on a Saturday night, so clearly I had nothing better to be doing. Um, so yeah, I just this is a really boring movie. That's the.
yeah.
It's boring as hell. One of my notes here is this supposed to be an action superhero film or some kind of drab drama about a bunch of people with no personalities? Like,
Yeah, it was like the only thing going for like Sue Storm was like, wow, patterns, music. That's it.
we will
And then
get
you got
to that scene.
then you got Johnny Storm. He's like, damn, cars.
Michael B. Jordan was too good for this film.
Oh
Too
yeah,
good for this film. It
100%. He didn't deserve to be ruined like that.
No. At least this wasn't his last attempt at superhero films, and it wasn't his last. This film didn't destroy his career, thankfully, because he's a very good actor. 'Cause
Yeah,
this film was like before Creed and everything, so I mean, it's a good thing that he wasn't stuck with this film being his thing, being known for.
well,
Uh,
like just imagine if they did the sequel, that they were 100% going to do a sequel if the movie did well. But
Yeah,
obviously,
Christ. Like,
it didn't happen.
I don't think it was ever happening because, again, this film had a notorious production cycle. The director, Josh Trank, is well known for not being easy to work with, and he has complained for the last 8 years about this film and has basically made himself unhireable because no one likes him. No one likes him. No one liked working with him. No one likes him at all. But this does feel like a film that's been through the blender a few times because there's plot threads which go nowhere. There's wigs that spontaneously appear and disappear.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, a bunch of other crap. But yeah. So again, before we get into specifics, there's a few things which I feel like I want to talk about first. So this film is based on the Ultimates. It's based on Ultimate Fantastic Four because that's where they get their powers from, the negative zone and not space.
Yeah.
Because that comes from the Ultimate comics. But crucially, they do not change Doctor Doom's name in this. In the Ultimate comics, he's not called Victor Von Doom. He's called Victor Van Dam, and he's Belgian. He's not from Latveria. Even though Latveria does exist, he's not from Latveria, which is confusing.
That seems like a very unnecessary change.
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's because
I think it's like,
they thought Doctor Doom was too. They thought Victor Von Doom was too silly. It feels like the type of thing that this movie would change. It's kind of surprising that
sorry,
they didn't change it.
1 second. My laptop just says it's not charging, even though it's plugged in. 1 second.
All right,
Let's
but
do it.
yeah. So the Ultimate comics are not good. The only Ultimate comics that were okay were Ultimate Spider-Man. Ultimate X-Men was dreadful. It's got tons of incest in it. It's
What?
yeah. There's a Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver incest scene while Wolverine watches from the bushes. That is etched into my mind. Also, in the Ultimate Comics, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver are Wolverine's kids, so it's even weirder. They're not Magneto's kids; they're Wolverine's kids. It's even
Mm.
weirder. It's even weirder.
Wolverine wear a little wolf costume
He
when
does
he
not.
watches.
No,
Shame.
in the Ultimate Comics, they have uniforms. So, because funnily enough, the Ultimate X-Men comics came after the first X-Men movie, so that I think they pulled from that because they have uniforms. They've just got like black and yellow costumes,
Oh wow, great! I love the all black costumes
and
with ribbons.
all of they've got like t-shirts is what it is. Like it's like a t-shirt practically. Like Wolverine's one has like little sleeves, but they're like t-shirt sleeves. Or no, I don't think Wolverine
Yeah.
has sleeves at all. Cyclops has like t-shirt sleeves, and all the female characters have like a crop top because it was
Oh
the
yeah,
early
of
two
course. It was
thousands.
early 2000s. Every female had
That's
a
what they
crop
did in
top.
Ultimate Fantastic Four as well. All of the other Fantastic Four members, complete uniform, Invisible Woman, crop top.
Of course.
Gotta show some belly button. Um,
Always. And the low cut pants as well. The low cut jeans.
no, those are normal. Those are just
Oh,
like
shocker.
normal trousers. It's the only thing that is different about her costume. It's weird, but yeah. So um, in the Ultimate Comics, there's more weird Doctor Doom stuff. Doctor Doom does actually look quite similar to how he looks in this film,
Okay.
but he's got goat legs.
What?
So I can't even begin to explain this.
I need to look I need to see a
He's
picture of this while
he's
you explain.
got like a big cloak, but it's green. It's not black like it is in the movie, but it looks very similar to how it does in the movie. He's got his big cloak, and he is like fully metal. He's not got like a costume or anything under that. He's just fully metal, but he's got goat legs for some reason. He's got goat legs for some reason. I
Oh, I see this.
He's
I
got
see
goat
it.
legs. I don't know why, but he's got goat legs. Um, I have a personal grudge against the Ultimate Comics for many reasons. Yep, that's the picture. That's the picture which I
Oh
saw earlier on
god.
today. Was that one? But I have a personal grudge against the Ultimate Comics because it is. So yeah, I don't remember who the writer was on Ultimate Fantastic Four, but the artist is Greg Land. And Greg Land is somewhat infamous in the comics industry because he's known for tracing. He's known for tracing other artists' work. and porn. Yeah,
Nice.
and he's pretty infamous in that regard. But he still works. He still works. Marvel still hire him. But yeah, even though he's a walking controversy. Um, but yeah, because there was like an Alien cover which I saw like last year, I think, where it was Greg Land that did it, but an artist basically put up a thing saying, "Hey, that alien head that he used is literally traced over some of my work." So yeah, he's always doing it. When he's not tracing porn, he's tracing other artists. But yeah,
Why is he tracing?
because he's a bad artist. Like this is the thing.
Yeah.
So I use reference very heavily in my art, but it's transformative. Because what I do is I get a pose, I get a stock photo most of the time of, say I have a stock photo of a man doing this, but
Yeah.
I will most of the time change the hands so he's not like this, he's like this or like that. I will alter the hands in some way. I'll alter a lot of stuff. I might say, oh, I don't like his head position, so I'll get a head where he's like this instead. Or I'll just draw on new legs sometimes. The legs are a pain in
Yeah.
the ass because half the time they're just together. I don't always want legs together. But yeah. Um, and again, ultimately, I always change the face. I never use the reference image's face because that's just a bad idea. That's just a bad idea. People will recognize that. But anyways, yeah. Don't like Greg Land. That's we're already 10 minutes into this and we have barely been talking about the
We
movie.
have
We've
not
been
even talked about
desperately
the movie
avoiding
was
talking
that
about
bad that this whole review was not even
it's been
about
the
the movie.
ultimate
We're just
Fantastic
like,
Four.
let's talk about anything else but the movie was that bad.
It's like the thing is, it's not the worst movie I've ever seen.
No.
Daredevil, I would say, is a worse film, but Daredevil's more entertaining. This film's
Yeah.
just really boring.
I was like snoozing like halfway through
I watched
after
this
I had
film at one in the
my
morning,
dinner.
so I mean, I was barely paying attention. I was in bed whenever I watched this film.
Oh yeah, you were big snoozers then.
Like,
About to fall off.
I mean, I made extensive notes throughout the whole film, but this is the thing which I must mention. This is a piece of important information that I must discuss. Oh, it's a fly right around my mic. But yeah, so I have a superpower in real life, and that superpower is a categorical knowledge of movie trailers. So I can always tell when there's something that was in the trailer that is not in the movie. I've talked
I actually
many
didn't.
times.
I actually didn't look at the trailer at all.
I
Being
remember the
truthful.
trailer. I didn't. I remember the trailer from
Oh, okay.
2015. I remember it. I remember bits of it. It's the same way I remember back in 2011, whenever the Avengers trailer came out, and Captain America had a Tommy gun in it, and he does not ever shoot a Tommy gun in the movie. There is
Yeah.
no scene of Captain America with a Tommy gun. But in this film, there is a scene in the trailer where Ben Grimm is playing baseball, and that is not in the film. That is not in the movie. I believe there was other stuff from the trailer which is not in the film, but I don't remember
Playing
it.
baseball as the thing or
No, as
okay.
man, and it's on like a baseball field. Because he as Ben Grimm is in very little of this film. He's in very little of it.
Yeah.
And
Shockingly enough.
so will we start talking specifics? I've been trying to
Yeah,
avoid
let's
this.
get into it. Let's get
All
into
right,
it.
all
Get my
right.
notes up
Let
here.
me let me start from the top. Let's take it from the top. Okay, so my first note is I can't believe I'm watching this shit. That's the first note I wrote. Is I can't believe I hadn't hit the play button whenever I wrote that note because I was just like I can't believe I'm watching this shit. I've avoided
The
this film
heading
for 8 years.
the heading I have is just fucking it just says shit list and it's just all
Right,
the fucking it's just like of everything bad about it. So
naturally. So
I didn't have what you had, I wish I did.
so my first note is it's all just gray.
Yeah.
That's how you know we're making a serious movie. There's multiple notes here which I have where I say that's how you know they're making a serious movie.
There are no colors in this
There's
movie
no
at all.
colors at all. They're completely gray. It is
Yeah.
all gray, and their costumes are black. The Thing doesn't have a costume, nor does he have a dick.
Or pants.
Or he doesn't have pants. He doesn't have a dick.
That's a note I have. I have get this guy some pants.
No
Is one of
dick.
the notes.
No dick.
Yeah. Or it's like a sheath.
Well, you'd still be able to see the sheath. I think the reason why he's so sad is because his dick fell off. Or maybe his dick is still the same size, but it's just inside all the rocks, so he can't get at it anymore.
Yeah.
Gives a whole new meaning to rock hard. But,
Exactly.
anyways.
Erections must be fucking painful.
So, again, I was trying to make. I was trying to make notes on this film, but I just could not bring myself to be interested. So the first note, which is actually about the movie, is I miss this old Marvel logo, not the new MCU one that lasts 40 years. That was the first actual note on the movie I wrote.
I do like the old one.
I prefer the old one. The
Comics.
comic
Yeah.
flickering, that's way better than the MCU one, which just never ends. It just
Marvel Studios,
just
10
it
years.
just doesn't end. But yeah, so the first note that I have on the actual movie is they get to the technobabble real fast in this movie.
Yeah.
Reed Richards' first lines of dialogue as a child are just technobabble. Like this movie employs what I'm going to refer to as science magic. It's the Star Trek school of science,
Yeah.
of where they don't explain this stuff because it doesn't matter. But also, it seems like the writers don't know how any science works. Any of it. Not
No.
any of it.
I just,
Because they just do things with
yeah,
science.
just like, I want to teleport people or matter to one place to another, and I can do it. Why?
Because I'm
Because I already thought it.
a child genius. The ages of these characters becomes a real question
Yeah.
in this movie real fast.
They look like 7 or like 6 or something.
So it seems like they're like 10-year-olds at the start of this movie. But anyway,
Yeah.
we'll get to this. We will get to this. So yeah, I also wrote that teacher's a prick.
Yeah, I have teacher as an asshole.
Teacher's just an asshole for no reason. Yeah, so we skip ahead a tiny bit because there's a bunch of random bullshit in that scene that is unimportant.
yeah.
My first quote is, "It's clobbering time."
Yeah, I have that down as well.
As used by the
Clobbering time.
abusive jackass character. Why would he ever repeat this in his entire life?
Yeah.
Why would
Still,
that become a thing that
the
he
amount
says?
the abuse.
Why
The
would
amount
that
to
become a
abuse,
thing that
and
he
he's like,
says?
oh, this is gonna be my catchphrase now to remind me of my abusive brother.
So again, this is, I'm pretty sure that its clobbering time thing also comes from the Ultimate Fantastic Four, because the Ultimate Fantastic Four has Reed Richards and Ben Grimm as childhood friends, which I don't think they are in the normal continuity. I think they become friends as they're adults. I don't think they're childhood friends.
Yeah.
And they're teenagers in the Ultimate Comics, and they get their powers in the Negative Zone. So, yeah, like I remember a specific panel from the Ultimate Comics. It's one of the first panels of the first issue where Reed Richards is getting a swirly. It's one of the
Yeah.
first panels. That doesn't happen in this movie. But yeah. So one of the next notes that I wrote was, "Man, they're spending a lot of time with these child characters."
Yeah.
Because they spend like 20 minutes of the film with these child characters, and I was like, when are they going to get to the part where
Showing off their home and then showing off them blowing up like queens.
they turn off all the power in Queens? And yeah, my next note was, I don't think these writers know what a child prodigy actually does with their time. Science magic.
Breaking into junkyards and stealing stuff.
A child prodigy is largely the way that it works is a child prodigy isn't smarter than all adults. They're as smart as adults. So when they get to
Yeah.
be an adult, they're smarter than most adults. They don't start out smarter than adults. This is like
No, he was born with that knowledge already,
a
bro.
magical level of gifted. Like
Yeah.
this it is a whole new level of where, how is he this smart? He's fucking magic. It's just magic.
He just knows.
He just knows. He read the script.
Yeah.
He read the scripts. It's the only way. He read the fucking script. That's
It's
the only way.
because the plot demands it.
The plot demands
Plot demands it.
that Reed Richards' only goal in life is to teleport.
Exactly.
He wants to teleport, and he has no other defining character traits than that. What else do I have here? I wrote, this is just science magic. Okay, yeah. So now is the all-important first time skip, because there's multiple. The first time skip where I wrote, wait, 7 years? How old are these characters supposed to be? of where they are now full adults.
Yeah.
But are they
At
still in?
least
They're still in high school
like either
because that
they were
teacher's
like
still the same.
13, 12, 7 years past, or like what, 20, 21, 22. Teacher
Like,
hasn't aged
the
at
teacher
all.
has not aged a day. He has aged like fucking magic. Again, there's a lot of magic in this film. Um,
Oh.
but yeah, here we go. Here's my first. This movie has a weird problem, which is that all the people who are supposed to be naysayers are fucking right. All the people who are naysayers are right. So whenever the teacher, the dickhead teacher says, this isn't science, he's right. It's not
Yeah.
science, it's fucking magic. They're
Yeah.
not doing science, they're just doing magic. It is literally magic.
I have that down like fucking magic teleporter.
It's not real
Or is it
science.
there?
It's not real science. Oh, here we go. There's a few quotes which I have, which are dialogue writing tropes that I fucking hate. My first one is, "Where did you say you're from again?" That is just it's a pet peeve of mine in movies of where it's a lazy way of both trying to make the characters seem relatable and the I didn't finish that note, I forgot to finish it because I was baffled by more stuff that came immediately afterwards. But what I was trying to say
Yeah.
is it's a lazy way of both trying to make the characters seem relatable and and to make the concept that they're conveying seem more crazy when it's not. They're they're from a okay. This gets me to my next point. Is this supposed to be a college or a fucking black site? Where that is it? Like I can't tell. Is the Baxter Foundation? Is that like a fucking? Is it a college or what? There's dorms in the building,
Yeah.
but it's
There's
also got
dorms.
like fucking NASA labs.
Yeah.
It's
But where,
got
like, how is the building, like, it could be underground, but how's, like, the building able to fit all that
it's
in it? Like, if you see the
how big
building from
is
the
the building?
outside, it's very kind of
It's narrow.
not
It's a narrow
small, but it's
building.
narrow, yeah. And it's still under construction as well.
Eh,
Like, how many people, how many, like, students do they have there?
They can't be that many. We don't see
No,
that
because you
many of
look
them.
you look around the room whenever they're
We-
building the actual machine. There's fuck all
There's
in the
like 10
room. There's
people
only the
there.
four of them. Yeah.
There's like 10 people there.
Who
Who only
else is
named
in this building,
characters.
man?
And in whenever we're getting to the next bit of
Yeah.
where fucking there's the library, there's like four people in there, but they're apparently being quiet for some reason. So now we get to
Yeah.
the all important pattern recognition conversation.
Oh, I
Um,
hated every single part of this conversation.
my first note on this scene is these people are cringe. Um,
Yeah,
like if these were
but
real people,
Sue was being an asshole for no reason at all to fucking read.
but he's a fucking weirdo.
Oh yeah, no, he is weird.
He's weird.
100%.
He's weird and she's cringe. So
Yeah, yeah.
it is a combination of problems here. Is that something which occurs to you over the course of the film is that has Reed Richards ever interacted with another human being before?
No.
Because there's multiple points in this film where I think to myself, how is he this socially inept? Like there's a level of socially inept which is understandable. But whenever you don't know what a fist bump is, you don't know how to interact with anyone. He has a friend. He has a
Yeah.
lifelong friend. How does he not know how to talk to people? Like I
It's
don't
because
understand
7 years
it.
they weren't together. They only got back for the science fair.
Yeah, they didn't exist off screen for
Yeah.
7 years. They teleported back into existence as fully
Yeah,
grown
yeah,
men,
yeah.
but still in school.
Exactly.
The snap happened, and then
Oh
they came
god,
back.
don't you fucking start that shit.
Yeah, that's another video.
The blip.
We'll get to that probably. I fucking hope not. I don't want to do MCU movies, but
No.
yeah. So okay. My next note about the pattern recognition scene is: are we supposed to believe that these people have any sort of chemistry?
Yeah, it was.
They don't like each
'cause
other
they,
at
they,
all.
they didn't even. They didn't barely spoke again after that.
They
Maybe
don't
like once or
interact for
twice.
most of the film. None of the
Yeah.
characters interact for most of the film. Like most of
And
what we see of them interacting is in that montage
yeah,
in
and
the
they act
middle of
like
the
they're
film.
like great friends
It just doesn't make any
towards
sense.
the end.
Like we can sort of buy that Reed Richards and Ben Grimm are friends because we see them as children being friends, and it's like okay,
Yeah,
fine, that's acceptable. But most of these other characters meet and then are immediately best friends. I just don't get
Yeah.
it. It feels like there's just nothing going on with these characters, and just ugh, like so. The pattern recognition scene. The reason why I'm referring to it as that is because the scene gets a callback later on, and it's embarrassing. But the reason
Yeah.
why I'm referring to it as that is because the scene goes as such. Reed Richards is in a library. Sue Storm is also in a library. She's listening to music while doing work, clearly not wanting to be bothered. Then he sits down and starts talking to her. And then he basically asks the really awkward questions of, oh, what are you listening to? We go through the scene, it's painful. And then we get to the point of where she tells him what she's listening to, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know that," and she's like, "Oh, all music is just pattern recognition, right? It's all just a series of patterns organized in different ways." And it's like, "Oh boy, this is
Yeah.
pain. This is painful. These people are cringe. That's the thing. These people are cringe." And then she immediately leaves, pretty much, and that's the scene. And as she leaves, she does like a little smirk, and I'm like, huh?
How did
Is
they? Where was the
is this
impression made?
supposed to be like there's things happening? Have the people writing this film
Oh
ever
no, sparks are
interacted with
flying.
people? Ever interacted with
Sparks are
people in their
flying.
lives?
Hearts
That's
are pumping.
that was the driest
100%.
conversation, and we're supposed to infer that this is the meet cute.
Yeah,
It's
this is how
hilarious.
they get. Yeah,
It's hilarious
their
that in this film
first date.
they
How they
never
met.
even imply they never even imply that there's any sort of relationship between these characters, which I think is funny.
No,
They never even imply it, but
they do like a 1 year later thing. She's like, "Damn, I hate this guy."
we'll get to the next time skip.
Yeah,
But yeah, okay. What else did I write? Oh, this is where we get to the obligatory dry boardroom scene
yeah,
that was in every superhero film. So this film came out in 2015. This is the peak of superhero movie tropes being formed: sky beams, boardroom scenes, rushing to sequel, all these things. This is the formation of these tropes.
yeah,
Films like Fantastic Four, 2015, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Suicide Squad. All these films are perfect encapsulations of these tropes. They existed beforehand. The version of the dry boardroom scene, which always sticks in my mind, is from Spider-Man 1. That's the boardroom scene which always
yeah.
sticks in my mind.
Out am I?
Yeah. Every scene with Willem Dafoe in that film is brilliant. It's just fantastic. All of these films needed stuff like that. They all needed stuff
You
like that.
Spider-Man.
They all needed stuff like that. But okay, so now we get to Doctor Doom. So
Oh
now we get to
God.
Doctor Doom. So in the
What
notes in their like files on the table, it says his name is Victor Von Doom, and I'm like,
Yeah.
understandably, it's hard to trust this man given that that is his birth name.
Yeah.
But at least they don't make a cringy joke about his name. I can't wait for them to introduce Doctor Doom to the MCU and be like, Victor Von Doom, that's his real name? And then they do the really long pause for laughter, which is just
Yeah.
painful.
That's for audience reactions on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, insert clapping here.
Yeah. There's like the applause sign above the screen just starts
Kevin
flashing.
Feige has like a fucking like double barrel shotgun
Laughter.
like ever.
But yeah. So now we meet Doctor Doom. And Doctor Doom.
He's a douchebag.
Here's my note: Doctor Doom is a neckbeard.
Hmm.
Oh god, is he an incel?
Almost likely.
Because he's got his fucking man cave where he sits there like this in his chair. And it's like, God, this is a great introduction to our villain.
He's like that stereotypical like douchebag guy. He has like the same look.
He's a
got the,
sweaty
like,
neckbeard.
Yeah.
Like, he's just a sweaty neckbeard.
But he's kind of built a bit somehow. This guy
Well,
is
it's
kind of
because,
bulky.
again, it's actor weight. So, I mean, like...
Just say, why didn't you get fat for the role? You gotta be a Redditor.
He's only
for
fat
that
in one
movie.
scene.
You gotta be a Redditor for this movie.
You gotta encapsulate all of Reddit into one
Yeah.
man.
You have to hate women and use Reddit. There's 30 karma.
Yeah, but again, this is how we're introduced to Doctor Doom, which is like Doctor Doom is not a hard character to get right. It's like the thing that I think is always the problem is that you can't really jump to Doctor Doom. I don't hate Doctor Doom in the original films. I think he's fine in them. He's a little too catty for my liking, um,
Yeah.
but he's okay. He's okay. Like the way that he's like he's a businessman in the original films. He's the guy that like funds their project, and he's like a big dickhead. That's kind of how he's portrayed. But in this, he's a fucking neckbeard. Um, and Doctor Doom in the comics is a dictator. That's what he's supposed to be. He is a dictator. He is a tyrannical leader who rules the country, and he wears a suit of armor. And the idea is he has a really weird, arrogant relationship with Reed Richards, of where he doesn't like him because he's got a big chip on his shoulder, and Doctor Doom doesn't like the idea of there being someone smarter than him, which is why he doesn't like Reed Richards. That's mostly it. There's not much to it. He's a very simple character.
Yeah.
But they keep in all these goddamn movies, they keep trying to do weird shit with him. Like in the first film, he's this weird businessman who's kind of just an asshole, and he goes up in the rocket with them, and he also gets superpowers. In the comics, Doctor Doom does not get powers from he doesn't get like he doesn't go with them. He's not with the Fantastic Four during their origin. That comes from the Ultimate Comics. In the Ultimate Comics, again, he gets his powers in the negative zone. And we'll get to that in this movie because Jesus Christ, that's stupid as hell. But yeah, at least he doesn't have goat legs.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the comics, his powers are magic. He uses magic. That's what he does. His suit has like a bunch of shit built into it, but he uses magic. He's a sorcerer. Like he is all varieties of evil. He's dark magic. He's a crazy mad scientist. He's got robots. He's all varieties of evil encapsulated into one character. But in this film, he's a neckbeard. I can't stress that enough. That is the level that we're dealing with here. That we're
Yeah.
dealing with Doctor Doom as a neckbeard. Okay. Now we get to the next thing. The next thing is yet another of my notes where I said that's how you know we're making a serious movie. Random swearing, because that's how you
Yeah.
know we're making a serious movie. They just swear in this movie sometimes, and it's confusing because you think to yourself, isn't this a PG-13? But they're saying like shit all the time, and bastard and bitch. They're saying that all the
I think
time.
that was okay back then for like
I mean,
PG-13.
it is fine at PG-13. Like in all the X-Men films, they say fuck, even though and they're all PG-13. Because you can say one fuck in a PG-13 film, and all the X-Men films used it, for the most part. But yeah. So yeah, my next note is Reed and Sue are both devoid of personality.
Yeah.
Because there's more scenes of them interacting, and I just wanted to die. Um,
That when he's asleep,
that's
flicks his ear.
it's so painful. I don't even,
Haha,
I
get
don't,
it? Because we're friends, right? Uh,
kill me.
get it? Because
Uh,
our chemistry is so good. We gotta flirt with each other now.
and so
And then
yeah, here's another
Mr.
dialogue. Here's another dialogue trope. It's complicated. What's your relationship with Victor Von Doom like? It's complicated.
Oh.
These people don't want to talk to each other.
Yeah.
That's the only way that you would say something like that to someone who's apparently your friend. You just don't want to talk to them. You just don't want to talk to them.
Let's just keep as very little dialogue as we can in these movie, guys. We don't need any backstories. We don't need any.
The movie
deep,
is
meaningful
all
characters.
backstory. That's the thing. The movie is all backstory, but they
I
have
know,
no
but like not
personality.
backstories about like how to like make them real.
They've got no.
Like,
These characters are completely unfleshed out. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna. This is where I started really fishing for compliments to give this movie, and so I was
Yeah.
like, at least Doom's personality is somewhat intact. He's a selfish and vain prick. That is accurate to his personality. He's he's an asshole. That's his core personality trait. He's an asshole who's sometimes right. And it's that Onion article of where it's breaking news. The worst person you know made actually made a good point.
Yeah.
Tragic. The worst person you know made a good point. And then immediately after, I was trying to fishing for compliments to give this movie. They did the cringy Doctor Doom name drop.
Yeah, Doctor Doom over here.
I hate my life. It's
Yeah.
just pain.
And
It,
they just wrote out the quote and just wrote "bruh" afterwards. I
and
was like, "There's no way."
and then this is another bit of where Mr. Storm, because I don't remember his first name. Uh,
Franklin.
yes, they're like, oh, he's gonna do the speech, and then he does this really generic speech, and then someone says that was a good speech, and I just wrote a note saying, no, it was not a good speech. I couldn't remember a single word of what he said, so it was not a good speech. Now, granted, I watched
I
this
didn't
film
write
at 1 in
anything
the
about the
morning.
speech. I didn't write anything about the speech.
This was 1 in the morning when I watched this film. So, granted, perhaps my view is a little colored on this, but no, it was not a good speech.
No. My
It,
next note is Johnny Storm gets annihilated by Pole.
oh, I have more notes before then. I have several
I
more
I I,
notes.
I was this movie. I kept I couldn't get into it. So I skipped a good few scenes because I'm like, fuck,
Oh,
man.
you started skipping. You're a
No,
coward.
I
You're a
didn't
punk
start
ass
skip. No,
bitch.
I don't mean I started skipping. I mean with my notes, I didn't write down for
Ah,
certain
I
scenes because I
see.
was like, this
I
is
see.
I can't take anything out of this.
So during that same scene, I'm still on that same scene with the speech. Uh, Reed just starts repeating himself multiple times, and I wrote a note saying, "Stop
Yeah.
repeating yourself, Reed. It annoys me desperately." Um, so then I clicked with me in my mind. I was like, "Wait a minute. Why does Doom have no accent? His file specifically says he's from Latveria.
Yeah.
They never say the word Latveria, which makes me think that shot of the file was
Not
probably
supposed to be there.
a reshoot. They probably added that in post because they wanted to say, "Oh, he's from Latveria."
Oh, right.
I'm
Yeah.
assuming that was probably a reshoot, which there's a lot of reshoots in this film. We'll talk about that because there is a visual thing which tells you when the scene was a reshoot in certain parts later in the film. But we'll get to that. So this is I started. I didn't really pay much attention during Johnny's intro scene, so I started writing this note instead. This is a longer note. So this movie feels like it's rushing through all of its character scenes. This is whenever I first checked the time in the movie. We're only 25 minutes in, and we've been bombarded with random bits of characterization and constant name dropping, but at a
Yeah.
pace that I can barely remember what's going on in a single scene. So they have to keep saying the characters' names, because if they don't, you'll fucking forget who they are. Because they just introduce these characters and they don't tell you anything about them. And they give them weird bits of characterization that don't matter, that don't like come back later. Like the characterization that they give Reed as a child is that he's fucking socially awkward and that he's all about his technobabble.
Super smart.
That he's like superhumanly intelligent to a level which is just cartoonish. Um, and yeah, it just starts like your eyes start glazing over. Like that's the point where you're at of where you're watching this film and it's just like you just don't have like the movie just doesn't have time for this. Like it feels like the movie doesn't have time for it, but they're also that they're fucking around and wasting time, but also that they're rushing through stuff because the ending is fucking rushed. You're
Oh,
really funny on camera right now because your head is just at the bottom of the frame. The way,
is it?
yeah, you just
Is
your
that
head
better?
is the complete bottom of the frame. That's better.
Oh, I can't see my camera. My
It's
notes up.
it's just fucking funny. Your head was right at the bottom of the frame. But yeah, so yeah, okay. So here we get to Johnny's intro. I have no notes on Johnny's intro. He's about right in personality and character. I think he's okay.
Yeah.
Um, and then we get the montage of them bonding in quotation marks.
Yeah.
So
Working together,
I wrote
bonding.
I wrote the note. We should get to see these characters actually interacting instead of a time lapse of them bonding.
Yeah.
Um,
And then there's a selfie. Takes a selfie of,
yeah, to make Ben sad.
yeah. Kind of don't know about you, buddy. And he's like,
Wish you were her.
yeah. we're best friends, man. We barely talk and see each other.
We've barely
We're best
interacted
friends
in this
though.
movie.
And then the scene I was referencing earlier, which I thought was earlier in the movie, but it's actually now, is when they're having that flirt scene, the Sue
Oh
and
yeah, that's now actually, yeah.
Reed,
And
yeah.
and I wrote a
And
note
then
here which was, "Dear God, don't keep putting Reed and Sue together. They're cringe."
yeah, I just said on emotional flirting scene with Victor watching.
Yeah, the cuck.
Yeah, exactly. I said the oh here becomes the villain arc.
He's been cucked. That's why he becomes evil. But that's not why he becomes evil. Like, this is the
No,
thing. It's just a thing that happens. Is that
yeah,
he's vain and jealous, and he's a narcissist, so it makes sense that he's jealous. But also, like, later in the movie, at the very end of the movie, there's like one line which sort of references that, but then never again. Like, at the
yeah.
very end of the film, there's a line, and so then Reed and Victor start talking, and then he says, "We're finished." And I wrote a note where I was like, "Wait, what do you mean we're finished? Did you perform
When did this
a
happen?
magic fucking spell? Like, when did you finish? When did you
Yeah.
finish making the fucking teleporter? When did that happen?
And if you're
That's
finished,
pretty important. Can we
why
not
is
see
no one
this?
else like
Does no one
knowing
know?
about it? Yeah, it's just no, it's just those two.
Victor's
That's why
supposed to
they're
be the
laughing.
leader of the project, and he doesn't know that they're fucking done.
Yeah,
Like, I, right, and then we get the evil board members who have their evil music cue as they enter the room,
yeah.
where I laughed. I laughed out loud, uh, and I
We're
and I
gonna take it to NASA.
and I was like,
Yeah.
"Who are these guys? Investors, shareholders, directors? Who the fuck are they? They don't tell you.
Yeah.
Who are they
I was
supposed to
gonna
be?"
mention as well, whenever they do the test, the lack of hazmat suits in that room. You don't know what
They're
you're bringing back in and
bombarding
out as
themselves
well.
with radiation.
Exactly. All the radiation or even like
They're
bacteria.
completely infertile
You're like, oh,
after
these
that.
glasses will fucking work perfectly.
Yeah.
Fucking.
No
Yeah.
safety precautions. Again, the
Not
people
at all.
making this film know nothing about science, so it's just
But then,
magic.
and then they're like, you can't take this away from us. It's our project. And then they're like, we'll see about that, kid. Let's get NASA involved. And
We're
then they go get drunk
we're
together.
skipping ahead some stuff here.
Are we?
There is
Is that,
some
oh,
there's some all important things that we need to touch on before this. There is a CGI monkey that we must discuss.
that was tragic.
I wasn't paying attention for the most part during that scene, so I just saw on the screen the CGI monkey, and I wrote, "Oh God, CG monkey!" I didn't realize before because I had just
It was
glanced at the screen while I was writing other notes, and I was like, "Oh God!"
three you wrote down, oh god, CG monkey.
Yeah,
That was it.
yeah. Like, and then I wrote, "Why does Reed not know what a fist bump is?" Because that's where the really embarrassing
Yeah.
fist bump happens. And then again, here's another scene of where the naysayers that show up are just fucking right. I said, "He's right. You shouldn't send kids to another dimension. Send
Yeah.
NASA. He's right. Why are you booing him? He's right. He's
He's like,
correct."
I found it. I wanna do it myself.
And here's another
It's
one
a
that I wrote.
self-righteous guy.
Notice that they keep writing Sue out of character scenes because they don't want to bother giving her a personality. Reed is the
Yeah.
protagonist, so they can't do the same with him, unfortunately. um, and so then there's the scene where they all get drunk, and we get another cringy Reed line where he says, "Oh, ethanol kills brain cells," and it's like,
Then skips him drinking.
and
Like,
and
oh.
like genuinely, it should just cut to him back in his dorm room, sat there like this. After that, and then you hear all the rest of them getting like trashed in the room next door. That'd be
Yeah, and
funny.
having fun. And then he's like, oh
And
man.
him like, I have to really rethink my life. But yeah, instead they all get drunk, and I wrote, "These people are all vain idiots. They want glory, so it's time to go and get ourselves killed going to another dimension." This
Yeah,
makes sense for Doom, but nobody else.
I just have dumbasses get drunk together. That's what I have down.
And whenever they're doing the launch sequence, whenever they get into their hazmat suits and everything, I just wrote nice ADR because you can tell that dialogue was not originally there. That was added in post. They added that
I th-
dialogue in
I
post.
think it was at this point I was like, fuck me, man. I just wrote, longest origin story
This is like
ever.
40 minutes into the film.
Yeah.
This is, and also like again, everything that happens to Ben is Reed's fault. It's his fault because he
Oh
gets
yeah.
drunk and tells him to get down here. We're going to another dimension.
And might I add, the actual teleporting effect looks awful.
Oh, it's shit. There's terrible
It
CGI everywhere in
just
this
looks like
movie.
goo.
And again, you can tell what CGI shots were added later in the
Yeah.
production cycle. You could tell.
And so then, okay, so they get drunk and then they start to like get
They
the
get
suits on and
they get the
everything.
suits
Ben
on.
gets there, they
He,
put all
then
the suits on.
they get him
They
there.
start teleporting,
Yeah.
and only Sue notices, but no one else
No
is
one
like,
else notices.
What's that
You would
whirling
think
humming noise
you'd
coming from
think
the
that
laboratory
a
room?
global fucking alert would go off in this entire building. Someone
No,
just turned on our interdimensional transporter.
it's
That
just
shit
Sue's,
cost a lot of
just Sue's
fucking money.
computer. Just Sue's computer, that's all.
And again, later on in the film, whenever they have Franklin, the military talking to Franklin, and he's like, "I wasn't there." They're like, "What do you fucking mean you weren't there? Like, do you mean to tell us that you left like potentially world-ending technology unfucking supervised? Are you an
Yeah.
idiot?" Like, I was talking to the shareholders, investors, directors, or just men in suits. I don't know what they actually are. There's evil music when they show up. I don't know what they actually do. No one knows what their job is. What is their job? They just play
I think
evil
they just
music.
sit around or just watch.
They
To
sit
listen to
around and
evil
they're like
music on
this.
Spotify.
They sit around and just
They plot and scheme.
like fuck me. Like Jesus Christ. And so
Are you in or are you out? Spider-Man.
fuck me. Willem Dafoe should have been in that scene. He's just there. No one calls attention
Yeah.
to it, but he's just there and he's like he's just being randomly evil. Anyways, so now they go to the alternate dimension. They go to the negative zone,
Oh god,
Which
and it looks
which is just like
great.
it's a generic like Unreal Engine backdrop.
Yeah.
But yeah, and they go there and they just start touching stuff. And I'm like, this is the exact reason why you get professionals to go to
Yeah.
another dimension.
That's just kids that are drunk.
They also don't call it the negative zone in this film. They call it Planet
called
Zero.
Zero.
Planet Zero. It's not a planet. It's a dimension. It's not a planet. It's another dimension. In the Ultimate Comics,
They forgot about that.
in the Ultimate Comics, they call it the End Zone, not the negative zone. The End Zone, N-zone. What does that N stand for? We can only guess.
The end of the universe.
No, not the end. The letter N.
Oh, right.
The N-zone. We can only guess what that letter N stands for.
Negative.
Anyways, when they go to the alternate dimension, they just start touching stuff.
What did I miss there? Sorry, what went over my head there?
I'm not going to explain it. I think it's funnier if I don't explain. I think if I explain this joke, no, I don't. I don't think I will. No, I don't think I will. You got it, did you?
No.
It sank in.
Still not getting it.
Okay. Anyways, I can just say one word and it'll explain it. Racism. Anyways,
For fuck's sake, man.
we can say it here. It's the End Zone. You can say it here. Anyways.
I wasn't thinking of that, shockingly enough.
Shockingly enough, even though you're always the one who makes the racist jokes. But anyways, they go to the negative zone, and I just wrote: does Doom's narcissism not alarm anyone? Does the fact that he's like, "I've done it. This is
Yeah.
my greatest achievement," and they're all just stood there with him? Are they like? Are they not
what
just
did
like
you do?
like side eyeing
you
him a
do,
little
dog?
bit? He did nothing. He
Yeah,
sat
you just
there.
stood around.
He didn't know
Played
they
evil music.
finished. He didn't know they were done. He was sat
Yeah.
there being evil in the other room, and then they
just
they
sat there like.
just maniacally laughing. He's being a neckbeard. He was fucking raiding women.
Yeah, so he was just raiding women on Reddit.
Yeah, raiding women, and
Too fat, too skinny.
yeah, despite being a turbo virgin.
Oh yeah, of course.
But yeah,
Thirty
anyways,
thousand karma on Reddit.
anyways, and yeah, I wrote they just start touching stuff. Let's just wander around and look at the evil green goo.
Yeah, let's
Uh,
touch the green goo.
and then I just wrote this all feels like it's happening way too fast now. Like we went from holy shit nothing's happening to holy shit everything's happening, and then I wrote let's just fucking touch stuff like idiots.
Hmm. And then
That,
the whole planet or the whole place explodes.
then I wrote they deserve to get blown up for this shit.
Yeah.
Then I wrote Reed is remarkably calm about Doom being horribly melted.
Yeah,
His tone does not elevate.
I wrote like emotionless death, and then on that I wrote dumbest death ever.
He's
So
being
dumb.
he's being horribly melted, and
He's
Reed's
like,
like Victor,
"Come on,
no.
come on."
That line was added in post. I'm assuming that was ADR. It feels like it was ADR. All their dialogue while they're in there is ADR because you can't see their mouths, so
Yeah,
it's all ADR anyways.
free range to do what they want.
And yeah, here we go. The explanation for how they get their powers here feels contrived. In the original story, their powers are supposed to be kind of random. So, like, the cosmic radiation affects them differently for some reason. That it's just kind of random. That they get lucky. That some of them get lucky, and some of them don't. For example, most of the rest of them look normal most of the time, but the thing turns
Yep.
into a fucking rock man. He's pretty
Yeah.
unlucky. Whereas here, he gets rocks on him as they're teleporting, and like the fly or something, he just gets merged with the
Yeah.
rocks, and Johnny just spontaneously combusts. I don't know why he starts burning. He just spontaneously combusts, and
For no reason at all.
I guess Reed just gets stretched. Why does he get stretchy powers?
I don't know.
Why
It
does
doesn't
Sue
really
turn
explain it.
invisible?
She got hit by the blast, bro.
And that turned her invisible, apparently.
Somehow.
Like, why did she not go with them? Why did they not get her to come with them? She should hate them for this. She should hate all of them for this. They
For going
fucked
without
up, and she got turned into fucking the Invisible Woman.
Yeah.
They
Went
fucked
without her,
up,
fucked up, and fucked
and
her
she
life
got
over.
fucked over for it. She should be pissed.
Yeah.
But she doesn't care. Because she's got no personality or character at all. Okay, so here's the next one. Stretching CGI is always bad. That's just what I wrote.
I have that. I said Reed faints due to the bad CGI, and I was
It's like, oh god, no. I'm becoming a
No.
cartoon.
It looks like a Blender animation. No! Get rid of it!
And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, you know what? The horror sequence of them discovering their powers is kind of okay. That's
I thought
okay.
it was pretty cool.
That's fine. I thought like the shock stinger was maybe a little much whenever you see Johnny on fire.
Oh,
that was a little
like,
much.
I was like, oh, PG-13.
But this is the thing. It's like
Scare the kids.
What the fuck is this movie supposed to be? What the fuck
Yeah.
is this movie supposed to be? Is this supposed to be like a fun adventure with the
It's not a
Fantastic
superhero
Four?
movie anyway.
Or is it like some sort of weird drama? Because like Josh Trank made a previous film. I don't remember what it was called, but it's like one of those handycam movies, but it's also a superhero movie. The idea is it's supposed to be like a realistic superhero movie.
Oh, Chronicle, is it?
Chronicle, that's the one, and it has Michael B. Jordan in it as well.
Yeah.
And it's got.
Oh, that's supposed to be good, actually.
I've seen it. It's shit.
Really?
I remember seeing it on the TV like 10 years ago, and it was dog shit. Was my memory of it. I don't remember liking it at all. But yeah. So yeah. And yeah, I wrote it feels like they want to avoid Sue in this film for some reason. Like during the horror sequence of them discovering their powers, you don't see her. You don't see her at all. I mean, that's
She's
like on a literal level, you don't see her because she's invisible. But I mean,
Yeah.
you don't see her being like, "Where the fuck am I?"
the fuck?
You don't get to see her reaction to being invisible. You
You
get
just
to
throw her on the hospital bed, and then she's like phasing in and out of.
you get to you get to see Reed's reaction to being stretchy. You
Yeah.
get to see Ben's reaction to being a rock man. You get to see Johnny's reaction to being on fire. But you don't get to see Sue's reaction to being invisible. You just
This
don't
guy
get
hated
that.
women.
You just don't get that
Hated
reaction.
women.
You don't see it. Like the Fantastic Four does have a big problem when it comes to Invisible Woman. It has had this since its inception. Because I'm going to read you a quote from an original Fantastic Four comic. This is a character defining quote from Reed Richards. A woman should be seen and not heard.
Oh,
So yeah, that is a character defining quote right there. It was the 60s. Stanley wrote those words. But yeah, anyways, swiftly moving along.
Excelsior!
Fuck women. Anyways,
A woman should be seen and not heard.
yeah.
Fuck's sake.
Yeah, but yeah. The problem, they always have a problem with Invisible Woman in a lot of stuff, which is that both she and Mr. Fantastic fulfill a very similar role in the structure, which is that she both of them in a lot of the kind of more modern stuff, they're both scientists. Now I think in the original only he was a scientist. I don't even know what she did in the
Yeah.
original comics. um but they usually say, okay, both of them are scientists now. And I think they have a pre-established relationship in the original comics. I think they just are already together. I don't think they even do the romance, but in the Ultimate Comics, they make it a thing over the course of the story. But yeah, so this film has the problem of not really knowing what to do with her because they're focusing so much on Reed. He's the protagonist of the film. He's the main character. They're not divvying up
Yeah.
their time between the four main characters. They're only really focusing on Reed, meaning that most of the other characters are boiled down to one or two character traits, if any at all.
Yeah.
If any. And again, the Fantastic Four usually boil down into a kind of a pretty typical uh, kind of sitcom character structure of where Mr. Fantastic is the kind of distant father figure kind of character of where he does love his family, but he's very bad at showing it. And he's obsessed with work. And then the way that they tend to do it now is that Invisible Woman, she is a lot more open with how much she cares about her family.
Yeah.
But that can lead her to kind of flying off the handle sometimes. And then Johnny's a big asshole and he's self-obsessed. But that doesn't. But he still cares about his family. And the Thing is the big kind of angry guy with a heart of gold. Um, and you don't get any of those character traits in this movie.
No,
They do that in the original film, though.
they're just kind of all a bunch of assholes in this
Because
movie.
the comedy is in the original film, because because Jessica Alba was probably the biggest name, ironically, of the four main characters. I think she's the top billed actor in the first one. They give her a lot more to do in it. But in this film, like, they give Invisible Woman nothing to do. She has nothing to do at all.
Yeah.
um,
She's kind of there just because, oh, yeah,
they
we need four of them.
just keep trying to. They write around her a lot of the time, and there's multiple scenes as we go along where I say, they could just give her this thing to do, but they give it to somebody else. There's multiple times where I did that, where I wrote that down. But yeah, so the next thing that happens is we see them in like a lab, and then Reed is being stretched, and it looks really bad.
It looks god awful.
It looks really bad. Uh, it's not good looking. And then he goes through a vent, and I just wrote, Reed knows what a TV dinner feels like. And then I wrote, oh god, the Thing CGI is bad. Where is his dick? So we've already discussed the dick thing. So there's no need to reiterate that conversation. But yeah, then I wrote, this is all Reed's fault. It shouldn't
Yeah.
be entirely his fault if they want him to seem sympathetic. But everything that happens to these people is his fault. Like, in the original comic, it's a case of where, because they go to space, And even in the first movie, they go to space. I think even in that film, Ben is an astronaut in that film as well. In the original comics, he's an astronaut as well, which is why he's there. Is because he's the pilot. He pilots the ship, and Johnny's also a pilot. That's why he's there. But Reed and Sue are scientists, so that's why they're there. And so there's an explanation for why they're all there. But in this, it's a case of where Ben wouldn't have been there if Reed didn't tell him to be.
Yeah.
In the original film and in the comics, Reed feels responsible for Ben because he feels like if he had never designed the ship, that Ben wouldn't have become a monster. But in this, it is explicitly his fault because if he hadn't called him, he wouldn't be a monster. So it's a problem. It's a problem. And then we get a whole year of a time skip.
Yep.
I wrote that in exclamation marks. I wrote that in all
I
caps.
said 1 year later. Are you fucking
I
serious?
was like, what? It's serious? Huh? And this makes Reed even worse in the context of the film because he disappears for a whole fucking year, and he does not come back willingly.
No. And then there's like this whole montage
There's
of them using their powers and stuff.
We got more shit to get through here.
Really?
The first thing I wrote was shitty black suits. Great.
Yeah. I was gonna get to that after.
That's the first thing that happens after the time skip is you see those shitty black suits. And yeah, so this is again the same thing as that Sue designs the suits. That's the same thing. That's what it is in everything. She's usually the one that makes the suits, and it is here she makes the suits. But she didn't think to give Ben fucking pants.
Pants? No, they were like, let's just give him
nothing.
His dick out.
But they don't know where his dick is, so they don't know if it's out or not. Can he shit?
Rock out.
He doesn't have a butthole. Can he shit?
Just poops rocks.
It's just there's so many problems with him not having any pants on at all, and he's huge. Like in the original films, he's still man-sized. He's not that big.
He's just bulky with a lot of prosthetics and makeup on.
It's just makeup and a costume, which looks better because that doesn't age. That's the thing. When you have a costume, it doesn't age. Well, not the same way that CGI does, anyways. Like that movie came out 20 years ago, and the CGI in that film is not very good. But the CGI in this film also isn't very good, and we've got a fully CGI character now. Which is a problem. Because in the original film, they sidestepped this problem by just having him be a man in a costume. And that way, you can have it be easier for the actor to get into character if they have a costume to work off of. But if they're just sat there in a mocap suit, it's a little harder. And this is the thing which I didn't write, but most of the dialogue in this film was whispered for some reason.
I had to turn up the volume like almost all the way, so when there's action scenes, it felt like my head was being fucking. Yeah.
Like most of the scenes in this movie are whispered, and they are like really, like it's all really quiet, and it's all really just like no one is emotive in any way. A lot of these actors are good actors. Like most of the people in this film are good actors. They're just not emoting. Like it's one thing of they had to work with a director who's infamously hard to work with, and this film is comprised mostly of fucking reshoots. It's half reshoots, and God knows where the rest of the footage is. And then they probably just didn't fucking want to make the movie up to a certain point. So I can cut them a certain amount of slack there, but also they are so bad in this film. They're all terrible in this film. They're all awful.
I could tell when they started to give up was like when Reed comes back, they started to really give up at the movie.
They're just not trying anymore.
Because everything is so rushed and thrown together.
And here we go. Here we go. This is the point whenever the reshoots become obvious. Because, hey, is Sue wearing a wig? Hey, is that a wig?
Her hair's longer.
Her hair's longer, and it's now fucking glowing. It's bright blonde. It's not the kind of blonde highlights anymore. It's fully blonde. Weird? It's bleached blonde, like a wig would be. And yeah, weird. And so, yeah, I made a note of every single time that the wig came on and off. I made a note of it every time. So I will be able to tally it up once we're done here, how many times that it's a wig and how many times it's not. So we've got one on the wig counter so far. I just wrote it's the negative zone, not planet zero. Oh, we get a shot of a CGI shot of Johnny flying after that drone.
Yeah, and oh,
I
he
wrote,
shoots.
I wrote, holy shit, Johnny flying after that drone looks shit.
Yeah. As soon as he shoots it down, he does this really bad rubber elasticy fucking like salute. It looks so bad. He does a twirl and he goes back down to Area 57. Area 57, by the way.
I didn't.
What a name.
I did. I think I actually. Oh, the reason for that I think is because in the comics they classify the negative zone as like number 57, something like that. I think there is actually a reason for that. The negative zone has like a number attached to it or something like that. So there is a reason
Still
for
so
it.
dumb.
There is a
So
reason
dumb.
for it, but Area 57 is a bad version. Then I wrote a note. Hey, it's not a wig right now. So then Johnny says the line, and I said, "He said the line!" Exclamation
Yeah,
mark. I
very,
clapped.
very, very quietly.
Flame on. He
Flame
said the
on.
line. I clapped. And then yeah, basically she's basically yeah. Sue talks to Johnny, and she's like, "Hey, it's they're gonna try and militarize you, and this is like going nowhere." That plot line goes nowhere. The militarization thing literally goes
Yeah,
nowhere.
there's just a few clips of him throwing like tanks around and whatever
Yeah,
and
with
stuff.
Ben, that he's like a thing, I guess. Um, what are we, some kind of Fantastic Four? But yeah,
We'll get to that.
we'll
We'll
get to
get to
that.
that.
We'll get to that. And so yeah, I wrote a note here on Sue's character in this scene. I said, "It's been a whole year, Sue. Do you think these people are trying to help?" She should probably be the one to orchestrate an escape here. It would give her some agency in this film, something to
Yeah.
do, because she's clearly not happy with what's going on right now. She should be the one who incites the escape. But no, they don't escape. Does this movie think that the military is bad or not? I can't tell. It's portraying them as evil, but the characters don't seem to care.
Yeah, they're just like let's stay here and use our powers instead of trying to
They
get
don't
out of here.
care. Like, is it bad
For
or
a whole
not?
year, they didn't even think about it.
They
They
didn't
didn't even
try.
try.
Like, the safety
And then, like,
regulations in this place are baffling as well. Because Sue can just walk around the place. What if she just
invisible.
turned invisible and left?
Yeah.
She built a
Or like,
suit that made it so that her clothes don't. Her clothes turn invisible with her.
and instead of that, right, instead of like trying to break out, she decides to help them then to find Reed because they
Oh, we'll
like,
get
oh,
to that.
he pinged back and forth and whatever, you know.
We'll get to that. Oh yeah, it's
It's
a
just
wig again. Number 2 on the wig thing. Oh god,
the Richter scale.
the the pattern callback. They did
Yeah.
the pattern recognition callback. Hey, it's not a wig, so we've turned off the wig again. And so here we go. Why have Sue do something like saving her friends when you can make her find Reed to do it for her?
Exactly.
And so yeah, for some reason that's what she does. She doesn't have
Yeah.
anything. She has to. Frankla has to come in and tell her, "Oh, you should go get Reed." And she's like, "Oh yeah, that's a good idea. I'll do that." And then she does it. She doesn't.
Yeah.
She doesn't decide. Oh, I need to find Reed, because that would be too much agency. Even that would be too much.
Like, oh, I have to be told to do it. Okay.
She has to be told to go and get Reed. She doesn't even consider trying to save her friends,
Yeah.
because she's like, "Oh, I need to get Reed." And so yeah, now we get the first scene with Reed after the time skip,
Oh.
where he does the face morphing thing. And I just
Yeah.
wrote, this face changing thing is weird as hell. I don't think he can normally do that. I don't think he
No.
can do that in the comics.
But it looked terrible.
It looks
It
awful.
looked so bad.
It looks terrible, and I don't think he can normally do that in the comics. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
he can't. I'm pretty sure
He's
he can't.
driving.
Because
He's driving back to his place, like, and
and
he's
I
doing this while he's driving as well.
yeah,
He does the face work when he's
he's
driving. He could fuck up and crash.
and then just like his whole face shoots out. They should have done
Yeah.
a scene. I pretty actually no, they did this in the original movies. They do some stretching jokes in the original movies that are like weird and kind of horny. Um, there's a there is a scene in the first film. There's multiple scenes in the first film which are like weird and kind of horny. So there's a bit whenever they can't control their powers and they don't have the suits yet. So a thing that happens is that Reed keeps like stretching out of his clothes. Johnny keeps setting his clothes on fire, and Sue can turn invisible, but her clothes are still there. But there's a scene of where she's like, "Oh fuck, I'm stuck invisible, and I'm still wearing my clothes. I need to disappear." So she takes her clothes off and disappears. But then her she becomes visible again, and she's nude. And so she's like, "Oh shit."
Whoa.
Uh,
Whoa.
there's no titty. You don't see nipple, but you do see her
Gotcha.
covering like this. Because a thing in that they make in these, the Fantastic Four are supposed to be celebrities in the context of the universe, and that's what they are in the first movie. Is that they're celebrities? So
One
she's
sec.
they're supposed to be celebrities in the context of like once they come back, it's like, oh my god, these people have fucking superpowers, and they treat them like celebrities. But obviously, the thing he's like, oh, I'm a fucking horrid monster, so he has to wear his hat and coat to disappear. Um, and there's the whole plot thread of him falling in love with a blind woman, because she can appreciate him for who he is. But that's obviously not in the movie. In this one, not in this one. But they get to that in the first movie. They have time for that in the first movie, but not in this one. Um, but yeah, like there's some like stretching gags that they do in the first. There's a gag which they do during like them finding their powers montage of where Reed goes to the bathroom. But you see the hand stretch out and go into another room, and it comes back with the toilet roll,
Yeah.
and comes back in. Or you see like his head stretch around a corner, and then you hear like Sue yelling at him or something like that, because he's being a pervert. Because again, it's the first thing he has stretchy powers. What's he gonna do? And in the second movie, there's a sexual reference that he can make his dick longer, if memory serves. There's a joke in the second film that he can do that, I think, and he does stretchy dancing in the second film.
I've seen that.
That's infamous.
I remember
That
that.
scene. But again, those films are kind of fun, even though they're terrible. They're like kind of fun. But those are on my list. This film was notably not on my list. But anyways, getting back to this dog shit movie, Reed just wears a mocap suit. In this, he's just
Yeah.
wearing a mocap suit.
It's got all the wires.
It's got the rings on it, so that
Yeah.
because they're trying to make a thing of where the stretching arms didn't look too weird, but it still looks bad. Stretching CGI just doesn't look very good, which is a big problem here. Is that it just doesn't look good.
This is where the movie gets really boring.
It gets
I took
real stupid.
very little note for this fucking part because this one sucked ass.
I've got most of my notes from here on are kind of like the end of the film.
Yeah,
but I have
everything from like the last couple of minutes.
like I have a couple of little ones. Like I had, did she need to say Captain Nemo out loud?
Yeah,
We got it already. We can read. We can read. Don't worry.
and then when he's found and the thing jumps down.
Random bad green screen shots in this
Yeah.
fight scene that
Did you
lasts
see the
5
headbutt?
seconds.
The headbutt?
No impact noise on the knockout. There's no impact noise.
And it was like,
It's so loose. There's no noise
Yeah.
when he hits him. There's no noise. Did they forget to put one in? Like, he doesn't make a noise.
free trial for Sony Vegas ran out. They couldn't put in any effects.
Yeah. There's no noise whenever he does the headbutt. But yeah. And yeah, that's like the first. This is the first action scene in the movie, by the way.
Yeah.
And it's a
there's
reshoot.
There's 20 minutes left.
And
of
it
the
is
movie, I'd say,
it
at
is
this
a
point.
reshoot, this scene. Absolutely, because it's got the random bad green screen shot. So it's a reshoot. Like, okay. And so here we go. Ben is completely right to hate Reed. He spent a year fucking around and not helping. So he's completely
Let them all
right to hate
there
him.
to, like, just suffer
He just left
in
them.
the.
He left them. And he's like, oh, I was trying to help. And it's like, how? You didn't do anything. You just robbed some guy. That's the first thing I saw you do since you fucking came back, is that he's using his face changing, because he can apparently do that. God knows when he figured that out. Yeah.
I
Hey.
do. It's been a whole year and he still doesn't have a hang of his powers.
No.
He doesn't have a hold of it.
Well, he can stretch.
Yeah, but like with the stuff in the suit,
I don't
doesn't try
fucking
and
know.
take it off and try and control it, or
I don't fucking
just
know.
doesn't bother.
But
I don't
yeah.
know.
Hey, it's a wig again. I think we're on number 3. I think we're on 3 on
Wig 3.
on the wig count. Where was I? Oh yeah, that's how you know it's a reshoot. Reed, you have no right to act all high and mighty about these guys when you created the problem in the first place.
Yeah.
So this is the thing. There's that scene where Sue doesn't have the wig during this scene, of where he's like in the interrogation room and she comes in and she starts talking to him. And he starts acting all high and mighty about all these guys who are benefiting. And it's like, you created this problem and then just fucking left. You have no right to act all high and mighty. What is this? What is this bullshit? And yeah. Okay, here we go. Why are they just letting Reed walk around unhampered when they know he has superpowers? He could just stretch and spin and knock all of them out. And then leave again.
Yeah, and they're just like, oh yeah, fix the source code. Fucking just go over there,
And because he's got science magic, he does it in 5 seconds. And so I was like, okay, Johnny's characterization is just wrong now. He loves war and has no ill will towards Reed. He's just stupid.
Yeah, give him a big old hug.
Why does he not hate this man? Why does he not hate this man?
It's not like they had a close relationship. They were just, colleagues. They weren't close at all. He's like, hey yo, let's hug.
And then we get we're skipping ahead a couple of scenes because nothing happens.
Understandable.
And then they send guys into the negative zone again.
Yeah,
and
they got it all working.
They got it working again spontaneously, and I just wrote, oh yeah, Doom is in this film.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just spawns in.
And then I wrote, oh, there's the wig again. So number 4 on the wig. And so I just wrote, Doom looks shit.
Yeah.
And then so it was about 4 or 5 different notes here of me trying to figure out what Doom's powers are in this movie. So I wrote stinky green goo powers, telekinesis apparently. Is it radiation? What the fuck are his abilities? What can he do? What are the limits of his power?
He explodes heads and lifts rocks.
He melts a man with his mind. How does he do that? What are his abilities? Is it can he shoot like radiation? Is that what he's doing? Is he irradiating him?
He has mind powers. That is all.
What are his abilities? What are the limits of his powers? Like, okay. And so I was like, okay, granted, I kind of like the scene of Doctor Doom walking around and killing everybody. I kind of like.
It would be cooler if he had a cool outfit.
It would be cool if he looked cool. If he actually looked like Doctor Doom, that might actually be really cool. But also, it's not really character accurate at all. None of this is character accurate of him walking around and just killing people. It's not like it's not really appropriate for the character.
Yeah,
like it just feels kind of weird. And so I was like, okay, these characters have barely interacted with each other at this point in the movie, but now they are a team apparently.
Yep, they decided to team up. Thing has no ill will towards Reed anymore.
He's gotten over it. He got over it after their one conversation. After their one conversation of where Reed expressed no remorse for turning Ben into a monster, he's like, I got over it. You convinced me. You convinced me that you weren't the bad guy.
Doom kills Franklin.
Yeah. So Dad gets the PG death scene.
Yeah.
So evil benefactor man got fucking melted. But yeah, Dad.
Not even. I think he just got fucking lightning striked.
No.
Like, oh!
The evil fucking benefactor man. He gets turned into a fucking skeleton. Like he gets his flesh peeled off. But whenever he does the same thing to Science Dad, he's just like, ugh, and falls over and he's a little ashy.
Look after each other.
Be the Fant4stic that I know you can be. You truly were fantastic all along.
All 4 of you
really are fantastic. Oh Christ!
You really are fantastic. 4
And so
trademark.
now we get a reshoot of where they describe the villain's motivation 10 minutes from the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So this was another scene of where I checked how far from the end of I paused the movie and I was like, "There's only 10 minutes left. There's
Yeah,
only
I
been one
write down.
action scene in the film.
I think this is like I said
There's
team up
literally ten
moment.
minutes from the end of the film. Like not even 10 minutes left at this point."
In 2 minutes after that, they're starting to team up.
Yeah. So this is so then they get sucked into the negative zone because for
Yes.
some reason Doom wants to suck all of everything into the negative zone.
Sorry, it's Planet Zero actually.
Who fucking cares? Um, so here's something that I'm just gonna say. I'm assuming that the entirety of his motivation was in reshoots
Yeah.
because whenever the scientists come to get him, he says, "I knew you'd come back." If he didn't want them to get him, why would he say, "I knew you'd come back"? Like he was waiting for them?
Yeah.
Why would he say that? I'm
And then his
assuming.
now
And
nowhere
then
his
he
motivation is
and then
like,
he's
all right,
like,
let's destroy the
"You've
planet.
done this to yourself. You shouldn't have brought me here." It's like you went with them willingly.
Yeah, you wanted to go.
Why did he act injured? He was clearly fine. Why did he pretend to be injured? If he didn't want them to come and get him, why didn't he just melt those guys that came in? He
Oh
clearly
man,
can. Like it's just fucking stupid. It makes no sense.
movie's hot garbage.
I'm assuming again the entire last chunk of this film must have just been all reshoots. Yep, Skybeam. That was just my next note. Is just simply Skybeam.
I wrote Man of Steel.
That's every movie
It,
from the time.
it just reminded me of Man of Steel.
It was Avengers. It was Man of Steel. It was fucking Suicide Squad. It was Fantastic Four. It was Amazing Spider-Man 2 has a Skybeam, doesn't it? I think it
No.
does. No? No, okay. Well, there's a few other Marvel movies which have Skybeams as well, I think.
Spider-Man was blessed to not have a Skybeam,
No. Um,
except for in
oh,
the Amazing Spider-Man 1.
there's a Skybeam in that one, yes. But it's like a cloud, sort of. It's not like a beam, strictly speaking. It's like a cloud.
Sky
So,
Cloud.
so
Yeah.
it's... And the Fantastic
Which,
Four,
yeah.
as we all know, has a real history with cloud effects.
Oh
Um,
God.
but yeah.
Galactus.
So yeah,
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
we're on 5 on the wig counter, by the way. Uh, and so my next note is just really shitty CGI.
Yeah. It
And
looked like a
so
PS2 cutscene.
now I have a very extensive note. My note is this villain has existed for like 15 minutes, but we're already doing the climactic showdown, but mixed with the fight where the heroes are supposed to lose. You know, you normally put the fight where the heroes lose in the middle of the movie because that's the lowest point. That's the point
Yeah.
whenever they lose. Or hell, it doesn't even necessarily have to be the point where they lose the fight. It's generally a good idea to do that because it
Yeah.
establishes that your villain is threatening. Or
It
you
puts them in the middle of the like. If you put it in the middle, it's like they lose and like, oh fuck, this guy is
that
serious. We
that
need to
me
like
they lose
come up with a plan.
and like a good guy gets killed or something like this. That's whenever you have Science Dad die, but he dies 10 minutes from the end of the movie, and then they just do all of this in a row. It like I don't love the Avengers. It's sacrilege to say that, but I don't love that movie. But that movie has this same structure but better, of where they capture Loki at the end of the first act. Then for the whole second act, Loki's just taunting them. Then at the end of the second act, all the heroes start bickering. They get separated. Coulson gets killed, and then Loki's now free, and he sets the Chitauri on New
New
York.
York, yeah.
And so now, at the beginning of the third act, the heroes have to come back together, and they're now stronger because they're motivated to kick the shit out of the villain.
Yeah.
So that's the structure. That's the structure. But this film just fucks it all up and puts all of it at the end of the movie because they only bothered to reshoot the end of the film and they tried to turn the movie into the Avengers 10 minutes from the end of the film.
Yep.
So, yeah. Oh yeah, here's
And
another note. What are his fucking powers?
Again, still just like, is it
What the
lifting
fuck are
stuff?
his
Yeah.
powers? He lifts. There's like cars floating around in the sky beam from
Yeah.
somewhere. He's started sucking up a field, even though the portal opened inside New York. Why is he sucking up this field? Where's this
Yeah.
field?
And
And
then yeah, they're all fighting. They get kind of beat, and then they kind of, oh yeah, they make a kind of a comeback. And then they reference something that you said earlier, which is the reason why Doom actually hates Reed Richards. Is he's like, you think you're so smarter than me,
and they
and then
introduced this motivation 10 minutes,
lifts him up,
like
and he's like, yeah, and he's like,
2 minutes
I am smarter than you.
before he dies.
Yeah.
But again, we're skipping a little bit. We're on a 6 on the wig counter now.
Yeah. Oh, the teamwork speech. Yeah, I forgot about this.
And I wrote, this movie can't wait to end. um,
It's closing everything so quick.
and I just said, this movie is desperately ashamed of its source material, as all of these movies are. Uh, why do any of these characters give a shit about each other? They have barely spent any time in the last year together, because they forgot about the time skip, but we're supposed to believe that they're a team now. We're expected to believe that they're like family now. Why does
They always
putting
were.
and
They
so
always
yeah,
were family, bro.
there's
The plot said so.
there's the fucking team speech of where it's like, why are they listening to Reed? And him having the audacity to say, this is what we are now, while the thing is just stood there, and he should just be like, no, fuck you. Fuck you. Like, he should just say that immediately. The second he's like, maybe we're just like this now. Fuck you.
Find the cure.
I'm like this. I'm shit CGI. Where's my dick?
Where's my butthole?
Can you tell me where my dick is? Is the reason why
I need
he's
the
so
shit. Where's the hole? Nothing comes out.
That's like,
Just
there's a
gets backed
whole
up.
new meaning to being bricked up. It was a whole new
Ah.
meaning.
Emancipated and bricked up.
Yeah, the same time.
Oh no.
Anyways, why does putting Doom in the Skybeam do anything? They put him
I
into
don't
the
know.
Skybeam. Why does that do anything? He opened the Skybeam. Should that do anything? Why would that do anything?
You should know how to close it again.
They punch him into the Skybeam. They really easily beat him, even though he's like a fucking god in this reality. But
Like he disintegrates like.
they beat him instantly, and I was like, holy shit, they just killed him? They just fucking murdered him in cold blood?
Yeah, they just.
We're heroes, and Dr. Doom's in the back like, ah! like melting in the Skybeam.
I'm not
I'm
the
a
bad
hero.
guy.
Fucking
There's a
Christ.
callback.
Like,
I'm not the bad guy.
and I just wrote, holy shit, it was that easy? They just pushed him. And
Yeah.
the thing says it's clobbering time during this as well.
Yeah.
And it's like, that was
My
I
brother
didn't.
did this. Why you beat the shit out of me?
Now I'm gonna
It's
beat you.
clobbering time.
Yeah, I didn't even write a note on its clobbering time. I didn't even write that.
I just wrote down it's clobbering time.
You just wrote it again. Yeah.
Yeah. I
And
just wrote the word.
so then we're now done with Doctor Doom. We've killed Doctor Doom. They're now back in the real world for some
Yeah.
reason. They just
Thousands of hundreds of people have died.
they've been killing. They just viciously murdered Doctor Doom, and they're like, okay, now we're done. And so I was like, so is this movie done?
Oh.
And then I was like, they spent 10 minutes on Doctor Doom, but there's all this time at the end to show off their fancy new lab.
Yeah.
And they also have the scene where they're negotiating with the military. Why? Why
Yeah.
are you even
they're
negotiating
like,
with them? They
What if we
kept
say
you.
no? What if we say no?
What are you going to do? We'll kill you, I guess. Do you see Doctor Doom? His fucking particles are scattered all across the sky back there. That'll be you fucking next. You're next, bitch. We viciously killed that guy. We killed that guy who's like a god in his own realm. He's fucking dust now. He ain't
So
gonna be
where's
in
the right place to
Fantastic
work?
Four 2. He ain't gonna be in Fantastic Four 2.
No.
Who knows
No
who
one
will
is.
be? Yeah, no one will be. We won't even be in it. Fucking hell. And this is the point where I stopped even bothering to do the joke of saying, hey, there's a wig. I just wrote wig. That was the only thing I wrote. So we're on a
Wig.
7 on the wig counter now. And so now I
Um,
wrote, they have to shove this embarrassing naming thing at the end of the movie. This was
yeah,
another thing
when
of where
they're
I was.
like
This was another thing of where I was like, this movie's so ashamed of its source material. I
the
just
Human
the
Torch
Human
and
Torch
his what was it?
and his torchettes,
And his torchettes.
and he also calls Ben the Thing. And also,
Yeah,
this is like the second time that Johnny and Ben have interacted in the whole movie.
and like it's like the thing that nobody wanted or whatever. Where did that come from? Like
It's
why?
needlessly aggressive. You didn't seem to
Why
really
did you
give a shit
disrespect
about
this
him.
man like
You
this?
didn't seem to give a shit either way before, but now you're just really mean to him for no reason. Chill? Chill, maybe? Maybe chill a little bit. Because like in the old films, it was a case of where, and in the comics as well, Johnny and Ben have this kind of sibling rivalry thing going on. They
Yeah,
don't get along, but they still care about each other, and that's the idea, is that they have like nicknames for each other and all this shit where they hate each other. And yeah, and I was like, oh, they pulled the end credits interrupting the character saying the name gag.
yeah. Where Ben's like, it's fantastic. He's like, say that again. It's like, it's fantastic,
Is
guys.
it? Is it
I
really
got it.
fantastic?
And then it cuts off, and you're like, wow.
Is it really fantastic?
Woo!
Was
Credit
it?
card.
Was it
Movie's
fantastic?
over.
Was it?
No, no.
Was it? I like the idea though that Ben's like, oh, it's fantastic, and Reed's like, I have a great idea, guys. Fant4stic. I would have laughed if that's what they said at the end of the movie.
The four
Fant4stic.
Fantastics.
It's like, what? That would have been funny if he said like a really bad name, but it still had fantastic in it, and then everyone else is like, what? And then just hard cuts to credits. That would have been funny.
Yeah, but the people who wrote this don't know what humor are.
No.
Or humor is. Sorry.
And
My
so
apologies.
I also wrote the Invisible Woman truly was invisible. She didn't even get a name drop in that embarrassing scene at the end. She didn't get a name drop. They didn't give her a name. I don't think. Does she have dialogue during that? She does have dialogue during that scene.
She wasn't allowed a name at all.
No.
They didn't let it happen.
And so while I was compiling my notes, I was watching the credits, and there was a name which struck me. I was like, wait, Tim Heidecker was in this movie. When the fuck was he in this?
I don't remember Tim Heidecker being in the movie.
He's apparently in it. His name was in the credits, and I was like,
I need
what?
to Google this now.
When the fuck was he in it? It's like, when the fuck was he in this movie?
Him. Was he not the dad?
I think he was. That's the thing. I think he might have been Reed's stepdad, but that means he's in one scene of the film, and he has one line of dialogue where he says "Reed," and that's it.
Reed.
He doesn't say it like that.
What do you do, Tim? Reed.
Uh,
Yeah,
uh,
that was definitely one of the movies of all time.
There should have been
I
a
will say.
scene of where fucking Reed's at a computer and he says, "Show me Tane." Show me celery, man. Computer,
That was
show me Tane.
computer. When's Big Wheel being added to the cinematic universe? Need Big Wheel as a Fantastic Four villain.
So I had one closing thought here where I was like, this movie couldn't wait to end. What a boring load of generic drivel. They had their characters who were supposed to be like family barely interact with each other throughout the whole movie, and the audacity to try and set up for more at the end.
Yeah,
And I was
they
like,
had like
you know what? At least Reed and Sue didn't kiss at the end of the movie for no reason. That would have been awful. I half expected that to happen. That they just kiss for no reason.
I don't think that the actress that played Sue would go anywhere near Miles Teller. I don't think anyone would go near Miles Teller with even a 10-foot stick.
He's just a very strange looking man.
Very strange looking guy.
We don't need to be this mean to Miles Teller, but he is terrible
No.
in this film.
Yeah.
He is terrible in this film,
Guys, I got it.
but there's no need to be this mean. And I was
I
like,
apologize. I take it all
at
back.
least there's no after credit scene. At least there's no after credit scene, and that was all my notes. Were there any things that I missed during that?
I missed the time I lost.
Yeah. Fucking, that's an hour and
No,
40 minutes
that's-
I'll never get back.
Yeah, pretty much. I have no ending notes except for it was not fantastic. That's my last note.
The Fantastic Four was the friends we made along the way.
Yeah.
Except none of these people are friends, nor do they even appear to like each other. Nor do they
If
even appear to like each other.
if any of you guys want to watch a movie, any movie at all, and
Make sure it's
you're
not this.
craving superhero movies, yeah, make
I
sure
would
it's not
watch
this.
Daredevil 3 times over this because I laughed my
I
ass off
would
while I was
I would
watching
watch
Daredevil.
I would rather watch Elektra over this movie.
You would not.
I
You
would
would
I would
not.
much rather.
This is the thing. Elektra isn't boring. This movie is boring, and Elektra isn't boring, but it is genuinely one of the worst films I've ever seen. It's
It is
fucking
pretty bad.
terrible. Like,
I watched bits of it recently. I was
like
like, damn.
this is the thing. Like, Fant4stic is not the worst film I have ever seen, but most of the other films I've seen are better than it.
It's definitely. Oh,
Because it's not
it was just
like
even sitting at home watching that. I was like, oh man, is it over yet?
it's
Every like
not
10 minutes.
it's not bad enough to be so bad that it's good. Like Daredevil, like Daredevil's, I would say easily a worse movie, but it's far more entertaining.
It's because there's so much
It's
goofy
just
shit
stupid as
in that
hell.
movie.
Like that movie's just so fucking dumb, and this film is just it's just boring. And
Yeah,
it's not good enough to actually be good, and it's not bad enough to be good. So it just sits in that realm of just being just kind of bad, and there's not much to it. So yeah, I was
uh,
because last time I did feed you a few different things to choose from. I was going to have it that this time I was going to let you pick again from a list of your own, but I'm not doing that because this film was bad enough that I don't want to know what
yeah.
your next pick is. Uh,
It's not great. So it's you that's next.
so yeah, it's my pick next, and I think we need a change of pace. I don't know how many more of these fucking god awful movies I can sit through. So
We need a good one.
next time we're watching Batman '89.
Okay.
We're watching Batman '89. We're watching a good movie, and the format will be slightly different because we'll be watching a good film. So I don't think I'm going to need to write extensive notes on that one because I'm not going to be baffled by the movie. Also, I've seen the movie many times, so
I've never seen it, so
and
this
this
is
is the
gonna be
thing, you've
interesting
never
for me.
seen it, so it might be better for you to watch the movie and then write some notes after the fact about some of your
Yeah.
thoughts. But I think what I will do is I'll compile some trivia because there's some good trivia for Batman '89. Um, and our discussion will probably take on a slightly different format because I'm probably not going to be writing extensive notes on the film.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I think we're going to release these monthly, is how we're going to do it. Because these are going to take a while to edit. Because again, this discussion is as long as the movie. We're an hour and
Yeah.
38 minutes into this recording. So
We have to wrap it up very quickly then.
this recording is almost as long as the movie that we watched.
Yeah.
I can only hope that it was slightly more entertaining than the movie because Jesus Christ, I wanted to
Anything
fall
would be.
asleep during that movie so many
Anything would be
times.
more entertaining
It
than.
was so boring. It was so boring.
God damn. Never again.
It's
Uh,
it sucked. It sucked. It was
yeah,
bad.
I kind of regret picking it now.
Yeah, I also regret you picking it.
It'll be
I
better next time.
I hope it will be because there's a reason why I was so against you picking this last time. I was just like, why? It's
Fant4stic.
it's just it's just not good. Like I didn't need to watch the movie to know that it wasn't good. I didn't need to watch it. Like this was my first viewing of this film, and I did not need to see it in the first place. I gained
You didn't
nothing.
see any Fant4stic at all.
I gained nothing from watching this film. I only gained future memories that I will not remember. Future memories which will leave my brain sooner or later. But yeah, next time we're doing Batman '89. So yeah, look forward to that, I guess. So yeah, it's this is now as long as the movie, so I think it's time to wrap up. So yeah,
Have a very anticlimactic end. Bye bye, everyone.
yeah. Have a mediocre evening. Goodbye. Is that it? Is that what we're signing off on? Is that it? Whoa, I nearly puked in my mouth. Fucking hell. What? What's happening to you?
it again. I don't
What?
want to know what it was.
What?
The movie sucked. The movie sucked.
Okay. Well. Anyways,
Oh, you were still recording.
yeah,
Okay, that's
that was
embarrassing.
still going. So yeah, that embarrassment continued. I guess on that note we're going to end. So if you want to watch another video, do. If you don't, don't. Goodbye. Subscribe, I guess. Is that how people end videos? I don't care.
Yeah.
Do it or don't. Do it. You won't, pussy. Goodbye.
Unsubscribe.
Don't do that. That I'll ask. Don't do that. I need all the subscribers I can get. I need all the help I can
Everyone
get.
wants to subscribe.
Don't do it.
Subscribe to me instead.
You don't upload
Subscribe.
videos.
Yeah, you're right.
They're not going to get anything from you. I upload every now and then. Anyways, goodbye everyone. Please leave.